name is Mike Brennan. I had worked with the OTF group in Macedonia, and I am currently working with the OTF group in Rwanda. I've been consulting for about 20 years, 10 years in South America, the Balkans, East Africa, Afghanistan, and a few other countries, and then about 10 years in New York City, working for investment banking companies.
What's the connection between you and Macedonia, and from where?
The connection is when I took a job with the OTF group to go to Macedonia to work on several different, what we call clusters. A lot of people think of them as industries, but we think of them as slightly broader groups of organizations and firms which support industries. So I was working in tourism and the wine industry. And at that point, I had been doing this type of work for several years. I also had worked in Serbia and in Bulgaria, so the idea of Macedonia was interesting for me.
And your connection with the Dutch Chamber of Commerce, or DCC?
First of all, I understand that the DCC actually makes really good beer in Macedonia through Heineken, so I thought, well, there's a good connection for that. But we actually worked together in three areas within tourism. Our strategy for tourism was to shift some of the industry players in tourism away from sending people outside the country to focusing on attracting nature adventure tourists to come into the country and start enjoying some of the things that Macedonia can offer. So we started having meetings with a large number of tour operators that were doing mostly outbound tourism here, and began the process of showing what inbound tourism could mean for Macedonia. I'm happy to say that there are several tour operators who are now getting 100% of their business from inbound tourism. So I think we had some success. In particular, where we work with the DCC and you, Peter, is along three areas. Our goal was to really try to go out and find nature adventure tour operators who would help bring tourists into Macedonia. And we worked with the DCC on a large, what we call a familiarization trip, or FAM trip, where we brought in a little over a dozen foreign tour operators, and the OTF group, through what was called Macedonian Competitiveness Activity, where we partnered with Booz Allen Hamilton, brought in these tour operators, and we hosted them for about a week and a half. And I believe 10 of these tour operators have come back with full tourist trips in the last couple of years. And we collaborated fairly nicely with the DCC on that. We also worked with the DCC to bring in a Dutch journalist who you took around, Peter, throughout Macedonia, and the MCA project helped fund, and we actually did a few activities together on that as well. And there was a really nice article in the Dutch newspaper which supposedly helped attract tens of thousands of Dutch tourists the following year, mostly in the Oak Ridge area. So that was another successful project. And finally, we also worked together to go on a joint trade mission to Maastricht with a group of members from the tourism industry. And that was primarily focused on tourism, and we did have several tour operators who I believe were responsible for bringing the tourists into Oak Ridge, who we met in Maastricht. And we also tried to sell wine and cheeses from Macedonia there as well. And that's a never-ending process, and I believe that there are going to be some wine cluster members who are going to be trying to re-engage with the Dutch market through the DCC, and also trying to develop a wine tour in central Macedonia that would probably in part target the Dutch market. So the two projects actually worked together fairly nicely and had some nice successes, both mostly in tourism, but also somewhat in wine.
What do you think, Mike, are the real potentials that lies here in Macedonia?
There's fantastic potential here. I mean, the tourism market, I think, is just beginning to take off here, and a lot of it's been focused on Oak Ridge, but the entire country has a lot to offer from nature adventure tourists. Anything from hiking and biking to there's a big interest in pursuing activities that follow the footsteps of Alexander. There's an unique opportunity to work with the Ministry of Culture and market excavation activities of historic sites, as long as it's done in a culturally sensitive and environmentally friendly way. Archaeological tourism could be a big boon for Macedonia. There's also lots of little other things, birding tours, conference tours. So there's a lot of potential, and the wine tourism idea is just starting to take off as well. Other products that Macedonia can work and develop with is wine, obviously, cheeses, ICT, and there's some successes in the ICT industry as well. And there are other opportunities, with the government, DCC, and others, where you can bring in some very unique foreign investors that could use Macedonia as a platform to enter other markets into the Balkans as well.
Okay, as I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're now freelancing.
As of last Friday, yes.
Yes.
I actually I have been working at two jobs over the last 20 years, and I go back and forth between the two. If I work overseas, I work with the OTF group. And if I work in the United States, I work for a spin-off of Gemini Consulting called The Lab, which deals with financial services consulting.
And well, you're a honorary member of DCC for quite some time now.
I am honored as well.
What would you suggest people who have more questions to ask you? Would you be available for some nice projects in the coming future?
The answer is it depends. On two things. One is who I would be working with, and secondly, what would be the nature of the project. But perhaps in the future, we'll have to see.
Okay. Well, another question. Which amazes me, you left Macedonia around 4 years ago, right?
About that, yeah.
But since then you came back some 4 times ago on a holiday, so you must really enjoy Macedonia.
I actually do, and part of it was because I was living in Afghanistan and going to New York, but Macedonia was always the place in between that I would come back to and visit.
Okay. Well, Michael, thank you very much. I wish you a very good trip, and I hope to see you many times, or better to say, we hope to see you many times.
And good luck with DCC and developing Macedonia industries with the Dutch market.
Thank you.